la participation à la vie nationale. Les droits des jeunes sont particulièrement bafoués dans la plupart des pays africains. De manière générale, les jeunes ne sont pas vus comme des acteurs sociaux, mais plutôt comme des sources potentielles de déstabilisation politique, de délinquance et de criminalité. Mesdames et messieurs, la plupart des jeunes en Afrique, et plus particulièrement au Mali, ne sont pas imprégnés de la Déclaration universelle des droits de l'homme. Et d'autres ne connaissent même pas la Déclaration des droits de l'homme. Les jeunes doivent apprendre et pratiquer les valeurs des droits de l'homme, des droits humains fondamentaux, de respect, d'égalité et de justice depuis le plus jeune âge. L'éducation aux droits de l'homme devrait être intégrée dans les programmes de chaque école, dans les programmes et manuels scolaires, de politique, de formation du personnel d'enseignants et les méthodes pédagogiques et de l'environnement global de l'enseignant. Cela va permettre aux jeunes d'améliorer leurs conditions de vie et être plus prospères à l'avenir. Cette célébration du 70e anniversaire de la Déclaration universelle des droits de l'homme m'offre l'occasion de remercier et de féliciter You for Human Rights International, présidée par cette grande dame, Dr Meru, ici présente, que je vous demande d'applaudir. Aujourd'hui, grâce aux différents sommets de You for Human Rights International, de Genève à New York, en passant par Bruxelles, les jeunes sont en train d'apprendre, de comprendre et de vulgariser les droits de l'homme. Merci, Madame la Présidente de You for Human Rights International. Pour l'effort et le combat, ensemble nous arriverons. Quand on prend l'histoire récente du continent africain, les problèmes auxquels elles sont confrontées aujourd'hui, il est intéressant, voire indispensable de s'interroger sur la place occupée par le concept des droits de l'homme dans un environnement aussi tourmenté. Encourager les jeunes à reprendre à leur cause la paix, la diversité et le respect mutuel pour qu'ils contribuent à la lutte contre l'extrémisme violent au lieu de l'alimenter. Merci Madame la Présidente de You for Human Rights International. Je vous remercie. Merci. J'ai un cadeau pour Madame Murray, Dr Murray, le Mali. Mon continent, le Mali, mon pays. Le Mali est un et indivisible.
Merci.
Greetings, everybody. I am Naif al-Hajaji, originally from Yemen. An honor to be here. Thank you to the Youth for Human Rights International for this summit. I come from a country that has constantly been at war due to competing religion and ideology. I came to the U.S. to begin a new life, a stable life, where I can find a meaning and purpose. Assimilating into a new home, I found what I was looking for. One of the most impactful ways I've assisted people who were once in my situation is by volunteering for the Refugees Drive at the International Institute of Buffalo. Here I've helped hundreds of refugees who have fled war-torn countries in the Middle East to settle into a new home. A new home in America. I help them learn English, preparing documents for them, and train them for working. For the past 5 years, I volunteered at Access as well. Using my linguistic abilities, I volunteered as an interpreter and assistant to families of the refugees. During my studies at the University of Buffalo, I actively helped international students and refugees and talked to them and taught them about human rights seminars with the Human Rights International. Over the years, I've helped over 1,000 refugees in Western New York to start a new life, learn English, integrate into society, breaking the language barriers, provide them with networks that would allow them to find resources needed to start a new life. Every step was to help them know, know and realize their human rights are set out in the United Nations Universal Declaration of Human Rights, as it is the basis of building a safer place to live, a world where a war can only be found in the history books. To me, that's what we're doing here today. So I thank everybody for coming. Thank you.
Hello. Okay. Good morning. Well, good afternoon, actually. My name is Janine Cruz, and it's such an honor for me to represent the Mexican delegation in this 15th International Summit Youth for Human Rights in this emblematic place like the United Nations headquarters. I thank God for the privilege He gives me to learn from all of you. And many will say that this is a meeting for crazy dreamers. But according to Laurie Penny, a British writer, there has never been a more urgent moment of dreaming of a better world as it is now. Mexico lives in a difficult times in human rights, in the borders, with women, security, with children, and many more. However, the new generation is watching. We're watching you. And young leaders are racing to defend what belongs to us, our human rights. And in Mexico, we have over 20 leaders around the country teaching human rights with Youth for Human Rights material in different ways. We have held 4 Latin American summits during the last 4 years with the presence of countries such as Colombia, Chile, Venezuela, Costa Rica, Guatemala, Ecuador, and we expect more participants in the next years. We have also found supports in youth groups, government agencies, and of course, in crazy young people like us. This is how we have achieved to communicate how the knowledge of the human rights to people through radio, television spots, concerts, songs, advertisements in public transport stops, as well as education law initiatives. And currently, we're translating the Youth for Human Rights material into the indigenous language Otomi. With these actions, we join forces with our sisters and brothers around the world to demonstrate that we can make human rights a way of living. We have to double efforts in the fighting to promote our rights. We can no longer see discrimination, intolerance, injustice, violence, bullying, and so on as normal events of daily life. And most important, we can let the next generation grow up under the same normal life scheme. Today, I would like to urge everyone present in this place to don't stop dreaming. Let's make everyone see their human rights as a reality. Because we, the dreamers, will a world where peace and tolerance are not anymore a dream, but a reality. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Teona Khachuri. I'm from Georgia, and I want to introduce Vafik Mustafa, Chairman, British Arab Network, United Kingdom. Please welcome.
Good evening. Thank you, Lady Chairman, for inviting me. I'm honored and delighted to be here today at the 15th Annual International Human Rights Summit Conference in New York. Fundamental human rights are things you are allowed to do and you're allowed to be. They give you the protection against harm from people and state alike. When people are not aware of their rights, their human rights, they may face injustice, discrimination, and oppression. As we celebrate the 70th anniversary of the United Nations Universal Declaration of Human Rights, we have to ask how many people around the world know what their rights are, and how many people are actually allowed to exercise those rights. There are almost 2 billion people in the world without human rights. I'm going to focus in this occasion on the human rights in Egypt and the Arab world. A few years ago, the Arab Spring, a revolutionary wave of non-violent protests, turned violent on occasions, with some foreign interventions, civil wars in Yemen and Syria and Libya and Iraq, did not bring the democracy people aspire to. So many dictators in these countries, such as Egypt, Tunisia, and Libya, were swept away by the power of the people. The Universal Declaration of Human Rights, Articles 19 to 20, 21, which is the freedom of expression, right to public assembly, right to democracy, never been fulfilled. Are the people in the Arab world aware of these articles? I believe so, they do. In Egypt, according to Human Rights Watch and Amnesty International, General Sisi presides over the worst human rights crisis in modern history in Egypt. Security forces make arbitrary arrests, systematically use torture, and political dissenters disappeared. There are 70,000 people in prison, and about 10,000 people being either killed or disappeared. New counter-terrorism legislation is used as a pretext to round up political opponents. So clearly, people are not able to exercise even the most basic human rights. Also, according to Human Rights Watch, new restrictive laws in Egypt, as an example, are used to close down NGOs, certain detained journalists, and prosecute human rights defenders. As we all know, NGOs and the media are critical in tutoring citizens for their rights. Yet here, many examples of state impeding awareness and education of its citizens on human rights, where people speak about schools and training for human rights. Ladies and gentlemen, The victims of such abuses are not fully aware how they can confront these acts, and in a way they are trapped. And they are unable to speak about them either. Most of the mainstream media in countries like Egypt and Arab worlds are an arm of the state. Websites are blocked, social media is subject to state surveillance. So it is imperative that people in Egypt and Arab world knows about exercise of their human rights, and particularly what you could see of the exodus of many millions to Europe and the migration cause. To conclude, I believe there's never been a greater need for global advocacy for human rights, dialogue and understanding, and tolerance. We are all global advocates who can make a great difference for a free world, for freedom in this world today. Thank you very much for listening, and God bless. Thank you.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum and good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, distinguished guests, participants, and Youth for Human Rights International for this opportunity. I am Muhammad Ahmed Tur, a social and community leader making an impact in Pakistan. Since 2014, I have worked with a number of youth-led organizations nationally and internationally. My primary focus is to promote basic human rights, campaigning on issues such as gender equality, child labor, poverty, and youth empowerment. Working in one of the biggest youth-led organization, MAPS, in Pakistan as a Secretary General of the global team. I am taking actively part in community outreach program. We advocate for human rights by organizing and speaking at workshops, seminars, and conferences, and coaching parents about their children's rights. A new project is engaging the trans community in different skills training for suitable work. Equality is a right that is most in demand right. Currently, women are leading movements for equal rights. They're breaking barriers and proving that both men and women are needed for the development of all nations. I organized a conference on women empowerment attended by more than 200 women in Pakistan. To give women their rights is the biggest challenge, and I believe that women's rights are human rights. Additionally, I have organized 3 mega wall art exhibitions. People learn about their rights by drawing a competition on the walls of the city. Students painted the wall on a specific theme which relates to human rights. Those paintings are still live and giving messages to thousands daily. This opportunity to participate in the International Human Rights Summit is so valuable, especially as we learn about the United Nations Universal Declaration of Human Rights, everyone human rights. Thank you very much.
My name is John Macken-Lepier. I'm from Haiti. It's a pleasure to introduce you. Ivan Ajona Pelado, President, Foundation for the Betterment of Life, Culture, and Society in Spain.
Okay, micro is on. Good day to everyone. Buenos días a todos. I just had a meeting with someone from the Alliance of Civilizations here at the UN, and she said something to me that is really on spot. Human rights education is not just a need, it's something of death or life. We have to have human rights education, and I will proceed with my speech now. We live in a globalized society where corruption is gaining land in almost every sector of it: political, sports, culture, education, medicine, even pharma, etc. But luckily for all of us, this globalized society has also provided us with tools for those who want to have a sane, fair, equitable, and sustainable society in which those who stand up for human rights can actually make a difference, provided they join together, providing they stay together, and providing they do not allow the proportionally few corrupt sections of society to discourage them in their efforts towards survival beneficial for all. Spain and Europe at large are no different from the rest of the world, and for example, their view on migration, refugees, and asylum are far from what is expected from democratic and responsible societies. But thanks to the educational materials provided by Youth for Human Rights International, we do have a chance for change, a chance for human rights. It is the teaching, learning, and application of human rights that will finish with the corruption and short-sighted views that are making difficult to create a sustainable, effective, and equitable society where the 2030 Sustainable Development Goals established by the United Nations can be achieved. My foundation is proud to be a partner of Youth for Human Rights International that are making education of human rights a reality. We are one of those thousands of individuals and groups who, regardless of the rich diversity of our religious and political views, have joined the movements of Youth for Human Rights to stand up for human rights as the UN has requested all of us to do. I beg you all, especially those representing and coming from the different missions at the UN, to help our local, regional, national institutions and civil society at large to further open their eyes to our unstoppable movement and to contribute the power of their networks and impingement to make of every person, family, every city, every province, every nation, and every continent the synchronized parts of an international machinery that will produce responsible and universal citizens at all levels, that in turn will make a free society where equity, justice, and peace, and where personal growth and universal values and brotherhood among the nations can happen, and where mankind can help each other in times of necessity or struggle. Come together for human rights. Let's stand up for human rights. Thank you very much.
Honored guests and Youth for Human Rights, thank you for this opportunity to speak. I am Dr. Nancy Adasi, a native of Togo in West Africa, and I've been an advocate for migrants since 2011. I've focused on the education and integration of migrants around the world. To further my mission, I've conducted and published research on immigrants' rights and the impact of education on immigrants living in America through the Black Alliance for Just Immigration. I've also published on refugee doctors and their experiences not only as refugees, but also as students in the education system. To create awareness, I have been a keynote speaker at several Ivy League universities, such as Rice University and media outlets. Additionally, I have conducted advocacy activities that include testifying at the Texas Senate in Austin in the USA in favor of legislation guaranteeing affordable educational access for migrants in the United States. Much of my work is educating people and creating awareness about diversity, education, and human rights, especially in the light of the refugee crisis. Youth for Human Rights International is a leader in human rights educational materials. Lack of resources creates a problem, but that can be eradicated by educating teachers, kids, and everyone about human responsibility, which is Article number 29 of the United Nations Universal Declaration of Human Rights, especially in immigrant-heavy nations. To further interest and awareness, I participated in a documentary on Houston immigrants and refugee rights. My message remains the same. Education and access to exercise human rights should be available for every human being. In the case of refugees, it should not be forgotten that though they may be seeking refuge physically, there is also refuge in being educated. I hope everyone here today, in some way or another, gets to help people exercise their human rights without any discrimination. Thank you.
Excellencies, Youth for Human Rights International, thank you. I am Qi Hu. It is a privilege to be here from China. During my trip to some mountainous areas years ago, I found some residents there did not have access to centralized water supply or sanitary toilets. Then, in 2015, China's government started toilet revolution in both cities and rural areas. This action is an important response to UN Millennium Development Goals. I began to consider about what I can do to help contribute to protect their rights as human beings. In order to equip myself with deeper understanding in human rights and practical skills, I attended the Human Rights Academy sponsored by UN in China. I learned to make the most of my capacity to help people. After, I went to a rehabilitation center for less able children to help teachers. I taught English to children with congenital heart disease. Together with my classmates, we held a Christmas party and donated money to impoverished students. We attended the China Thinks Big competition, conducting a project calling for female rights. We held an on-campus art showcase to raise awareness about LGBT. I have the difficulties of managing time effectively, balancing studies with time-consuming activities. I also try to exert a widespread influence, not as a student, but as a responsible citizen. Through my original videos and articles online, people took a closer look at my activities and I gained wisdom from their insightful feedback. My work shows being a good human being is achievable and necessary. By creating awareness and contributing to human welfare together with kindred spirits and our mother state, we are assuring a better future with peace on this horizon. My message, like that of Youth for Human Rights International, is of humanity with human rights. So human rights education is very important. Thank you.
Excellencies, honored guests, and my fellow youth. My name is Natalia Garcia Espinosa de los Monteros. I am 18 years old, and I come from Mexico. At age 13, I had the opportunity to work with a student group working with Youth for Human Rights International, and I was eager to spread human rights in the community. Walking down busy streets to educate passersby on their human rights, I realized that there was a misconception about them in society. Therefore, my classmates and I decided that walking by in streets wasn't enough and that we had to deliver seminars to increase the awareness on people's human rights. We gave out seminars at local schools, and it resulted in a safer environment for the kids, parents, and staff. Seeing the widespread misunderstanding on human rights and the changes that in human relationships that understanding them brings, I still continue spreading human rights by educating the staff and children in schools and orphanages. I would love to help the Mexican government implement these changes. These types of education in schools would bring a lot of change to my country. And just being here together with other youth and talking to some other delegates from my country has made me see that these changes are possible, and it's been very inspiring. I really want to thank Youth for Human Rights International for providing me with the remarkable materials that truly change, that can truly change people's lives. You may think that I do humanitarian work full-time, but I do many things. I'm a student, and I've been passionate about fashion for a very long time, since I was 10. After extensive research, I learned about the enormous pollution rates of fashion. Instead of giving up on my dreams, I have taken to my heart human right number 14, the right to seek a safe place to live. And I have vowed to create garments minimizing pollution and to educate society on fashion environmental issues to help this earth become a safe place for future civilizations. I believe that our ultimate goal as beings is to help others. And I wholeheartedly want to improve the condition of the planet to make it flourish. I am excited to bring these changes, for they must be created, not just waited upon. I'm committed to make things happen, and thank you to Youth for Human Rights for allowing me to be here and to have this amazing opportunity to be along young people who believe that the world can be better. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Penelope Hernandez. I come from Venezuela, and it's an honor to introduce founder